The calf is predominantly made up of two different muscles, the soleus, which lies deep to the gastrocnemius. As you can see here, both muscles connect to the Achilles tendon that pulls on the back of the heel. The gastrocnemius also has two different heads that pass the knee joint to the back of the femur. The gastrocnemius and soleus both work to create plantar flexion, whereas the gastrocnemius also assists with knee flexion. Start sitting on the floor using a foam roller. Begin by placing your calves on the foam roller. Using the weight of your legs, flex and point the foot to create a better release. As you work up the calf, roll the knee outward and inward to get more of the lateral and medial gastrocnemius heads. Continue to work through that tissue for 7 to 10 repetitions on each part of the calf that is tender. Next, use the massage stick. To make sure the calf is loose, use a step stool to lift the foot and allow the muscle to relax. Start near the bottom of the soleus and pull towards the top of the gastrocnemius. When you find a tender spot or a knot, stop the massage stick where it is and create pressure into that spot, creating a jostling motion without rolling the massage stick up and down. Make sure you breathe and relax the muscle tissue. Continue this same process all throughout the soleus and gastrocnemius, even the side of the lower leg, until you feel you've gotten all of the tender spots. Be sure to use firm pressure as you roll the tissue. The muscles running most deep to the soleus are the tibialis posterior and the flexor digitorum longus. The tibialis posterior is responsible for inversion of the foot. The flexor digitorum longus runs all the way to the tip of the toes, creating flexion of the four toes and assists with plantar flexion of the ankle. From those illustrations, you can see how the muscles in the lower leg control the toes. To work the tibialis posterior and the flexor digitorum longus, we are going to need a lacrosse ball and a chair. With your leg on a hard chair and the foot over the edge, place a lacrosse ball in between the gastrocnemius muscles and press down into the tissue. Work the medial and lateral portions the same way you work the tissue of the tibialis posterior. Press into the ball and pull your foot up while you breathe in. After a full contraction up, drop the foot and relax your breath. Work your way to the medial portions, continuing to breathe during the contract and relax sequence for 7 to 10 repetitions. Then move out to the lateral portions for 7 to 10 repetitions.
Hey, good morning and welcome. We are about to get started on our Monday morning workout, which is a core day. So core day just consists of 7 different exercises. We're going to work particularly on trying to strengthen the core in order to stabilize your low back. Okay, so this is the foundation of all movement that possibly can be performed, is transferring resistance through the core. So we're going to try to add hip movements as we continue through the process of training your core. Okay, so hopefully you're prepared for that. It's as simple as being able to just lay down onto the floor or a bed, whatever you've got that you're able to lay flat, and have a pillow or a foam roller in hand ready to go. Okay, but things work a little bit different around here compared to maybe some other different training modalities. We actually try to dedicate our intentions, right? So an inspired action dedicated to an intention greater than ourselves. Okay, that's how we define and I dedicate. So we try to, use these dedications as a moment, as an opportunity to pray for others, that we would use our physicality in some sort of way to either reach out in this moment or this hour through prayer and petition, or a tangible, if you happen to know the individuals that we're praying for, the ones that are here, to experience that and say, hey, we've been praying for you, wanting what's best for you. How can I help? Those kind of things. So I would encourage you, as we build strength, we would use that strength to go out and serve others. Okay, so to get started, let's go ahead and run through those I dedicate. So we've got Lori, whose mom is doing dialysis 3 times a week. My friend's wife has breast cancer, and they're treating that naturally. Ethan, through his stage 4 liver and bile duct cancer. My friend's wife, Kira, praying for her after radiation and all her surgeries, that she would return to full strength here. Jim is her dad, and he is in a decline from pancreatic cancer. Diane, her husband, was lost like 3 weeks ago now, almost 4. So praying for her through that difficult time as well. Okay, so that is the individuals that we're dedicating. Remember, you at home, if you ever have a dedication, something that you feel inspired to reach out and say, hey, I would love to dedicate this individual, just comment down below, and we would love to put them on our prayer board. Anytime you guys are here, please do comment anything that you have questions on. The whole point of running a live video or even having these videos on YouTube is that you would be able to ask for anything you need help with. Okay, so if your core's not firing the way that you think it should, ask questions. It helps to clarify what we're trying to get out of our movements. Okay, and obviously you should be here often if you're going to experience an incredible change. So that's what we want to make sure as well. So just right down below, right here, right, there should be a little click to subscribe button. So once you subscribe, you'll be able to see us each time that we go live and provide these workouts to you completely free of charge. Okay, so the whole point, my mission, is to create an entirely pain-free world. This is our way to reach out into the world to individuals who maybe have never experienced quality movement and teach and instruct how to do that. So when you subscribe, it helps us be able to do that, and it also will help you, if you turn on notifications, to know every day, Monday through Friday, we are live at 9 o'clock. Or you will be notified if you didn't make the live time of the recorded version. So that way you can still perform those exercises and learn to move well in order to live well. Okay, our verse of the day, we like to make sure our mind is in the right spot as well as our heart and our soul. So the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and instruction. Proverbs 1:7. So that is a very powerful verse that it just puts on display that, we need to have a full understanding, a full trust in who God is and the power and magnitude that he holds. But I find the other one interesting. Fools despise wisdom and instruction, right? If you can't hear someone's wisdom or hear someone's instruction and be able to follow that, it makes it very difficult to work with you, and ends up making us look like a fool. At least I know I've lived that way a time or two. So we want to make sure that we are living under understanding, right? Listen for wisdom and instruction that is wise. That way we can continue to serve in that capacity. All right, let's go ahead and jump into our workout. Okay, so go ahead and find a spot on the floor. Get set and ready. Our pelvic tilts is what we're going to call these. Are pretty simple movements. They're not
3,
big.
2, 1. Pelvic tilt.
But they are powerful. So a pelvic tilt simply means that you compress your core so tight, your low back presses into the ground. Okay, naturally, if you are squeezing your core tight enough, you're going to kind of be peeling that tailbone off of the floor, okay? So one thing that I like to say is imagine like a bowling ball is dropping onto your stomach or someone's hitting you in the stomach.
That's
And you have
halfway.
to compress your core to get that tight, okay? This movement should not be produced through your feet, okay? So right here, if you look, my feet light on the floor. I'm not trying to push down into the floor to create a lift at the tailbone, right? It's all coming from the core. It needs to stem from the core in order to make
3,
it
2,
work.
1. Prepare for pelvic tilt with knee fallout.
Okay, so tilt with knee fallout. So this one, simply, you're going to put your feet together and compress that core really hard again, okay?
3, 2, 1. Pelvic tilt with knee fallout.
Good. Okay, so tilt with knee fallout, you're going to see the core is compressed. Each knee individually will go out to the side. Now, when I do that, you don't want to take and shift the hips left or right, okay? You want to make sure that those hips stay flat or glued to the floor, okay? So that way you can make sure that your core is what's bracing your hips in place, okay? That pelvis should not be
That's
twisting
halfway.
or turning as you perform this movement. So compress, again, that core super, super tight, making sure that you are working through the position really, really well, okay? Again, doing your absolute best all the way through these movements. Okay, tight compression, squeeze
3,
firm, firm, firm.
2, 1.
Awesome.
Prepare for pelvic tilt with adduction.
All right, so with this one, a foam roller comes in handy, or a pedal, either whatever works for you that have handy.
3,
Put it between the
2.
knees.
1. Pelvic tilt with adduction.
Okay, the way this one works is we do core compression, kept really, really tight, crushing the real under the low back. That's really sometimes, and then going to compress those knees together. Keep your core tight and release knees. Then release your core, letting that relax. Be distinct in our movements. The whole point is that we learn or program the brain to communicate to our motor
That's halfway.
movers, right? Movement-based muscles, so big movements like through the hips, that's going to continue to move. But we have stabilizing muscles that surround our spine. We want to train those to be stable while we create that mobility through the hips, okay? So core tight, knees tight, knees, that's the core. Again, do not
3,
push feet down.
2, 1. Prepare for pelvic tilt with knee toward chest.
Cool. All right, tilt with knee toward chest. Okay, so we're going to march our feet, basically, is all this one is. But compression,
3,
crush the Dorito.
2, 1. Pelvic tilt with knee toward chest.
All right, good. Okay, so core compression, get that tight first. Kegel, that's just like cutting off going to the bathroom. Core compress, your back should be into the ground, holding and stabilizing. This one, oftentimes, if we don't have a tight core, ends up doing what I call the Rubik's Cube, right? It lifts your hip up. So the leg that you lift is going to put a tension on that hip, and it's going to want to drive your hip up in
That's
the air.
halfway.
So core compression is going to force your low back onto the ground, maintain a solid foundation for your hip to generate the impulse. What we're looking for, right, is that the pelvis would be stationary in position, so that way the hip joint can go through its mobility positions or mobile positions.
3,
Okay, tight
2,
core
1.
and doing.
Prepare for pelvic tilt with bridge.
All right, tilt and the most important thing here is maintaining the core tight. It is not hips to the ceiling. Okay, that
3,
has been trained a
2,
lot, overtrained
1.
actually.
Pelvic tilt with bridge.
What we're looking for is do that Kegel core compression first. Pinch your butt cheeks together. Start lifting off the ground, okay? We should not be arching our back at the point we reach, Okay, back should not be arched. Driving your hips all the way up to the ceiling, you're just doing that on the low back, that you're tilting backwards and creating a compression that's not actually good for you. So make sure that you keep that core tight. And then when you return to the ground, this is the greatest thing about the core work, is when you return to the ground, if that back is arched up, you know you lost it, right? You had some sort of arching of your back. So when you return to the ground, you should return everything at the that the ribs should all touch.
1. Prepare for shoulder drops.
Good. Okay, shoulder drops. Start by pulling your shoulders out of your ears, right? So down, and then pinch them back to the ground. Okay, so we think high chest.
1. Shoulder drop.
Then the arms go straight toward the ceiling. We're trying to relax that latissimus dorsi, so you see that shoulder just really moving through its position. Keep your arm straight, right? I want your arm as straight as can be, and then go down towards the floor. Once you hit the end of your range of motion, I want you to stop and pull back to that starting position. Okay, so we're going to get that shoulder out of the ear, down, 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 away from the ear, compressing that core the whole time. A lot of times what I see on this one is we compensate to increase range of motion in the shoulder by arching the shoulder, the chest, or the ribs. Okay, we end up lifting or elevating thinking, oh, I'm getting more range of motion, when in reality, going into a spinal extension that's not even healthy. Okay, so I want you to begin to learn or train where that end of range of motion is. Pull your back down and back.
Prepare for dead bug.
Okay, dead bug. The feet to the shoulder movement that we just did. So, take this first round, kind of warm up with it, see what it feels like.
3,
but core tight.
2, 1. Dead bug.
Okay, so here we go. So dead bugs, you're going to notice, set those shoulders, get the core tight, then pull those knees up. And this should be like the knees and the arms, right? So you're squeezing tight into that position. Don't overextend. So often people think, if I extend my leg really far to the floor, I'll get more out of this. When in reality, if you extend your foot so far that your back pops up off the floor, you've just went all to the wrong muscle group. You're training the wrong muscle group. So stop doing that. Take your leg far towards the floor as you keeping your leg to the ground. As soon as it feels like that back's about to arch up, bring it back up to that starting position. Only extend to that. Once up off the ground, re-squeeze that core,
3,
pull the knee back
2,
up.
1. Long rest.
Very good. All right, as you can tell, there's a lot to coordinating just laying on the floor, right? We need to build connection. We need to force that core to work really hard we put our hips into, because I've never met a person who doesn't walk or move that has remembers their core, right? I just don't meet people who do that. So the whole point is we begin to build neurologically a tighter core, just so naturally when you go through your week, go through your day, you
3,
think I should
2,
maybe break
1.
it.
Prepare for pelvic tilt.
All right.
3, 2, 1. Pelvic tilt.
All right.
That's halfway.